Sheriff?
Yeah.
Sheriff talking.
Okay, well, my first question is on salaries and wages. Thought we kind of brought everybody up where we needed to be last year.
Salaries? Well, no, I tell you what's going on. Listen, it's been several years of not fixing this one problem. And it hadn't reared its head until the last 2 or 3 years when we were able, and I'll let y'all know about the increases and the reason, we're trying to give pay raises and the reason for. But in raising the salaries, this problem, neglect, years and years and years of neglect reared its head. And that's Randy, Mike Dollar, and Adam Smith in a separate budget. Adam Smith, Mike Gobble, and Randy, their salaries, Randy's been chief deputy for 14 years. His salary's never been accounted for. It's accounted for on my part, but the money, budget request, money would get cut. And then back in 2011 or 12, the promotion of Mike Gobble and Adam Smith to their positions, the money's never been put in the budget for their salaries. Now, it never reared its head because we've always been short of people and all of that.
So even though it wasn't budgeted, you were able to cover it because you were short in other areas of people.
And that's kind of where it's come about now. In the last 12 months, we have been able, we still work short. I'm not saying we're full, 100% full, but we're working, we have more people hired than we have been able to keep and kept them hired than we've been able to do in the past. And with the raises that we've given in the last 3 years, it's crept up. It's 4% here, 7%, and then 10%, 21% in 3 years. So the salary line item that I have requested includes 0 pay raise. That's just to get where we're actually at based on the numbers provided to me by Sandy.
Now, does that number also include moving Randy, Mike, and Adam to this line?
Well, okay, so, no, we're not moving them anywhere. Adam comes out of the sheriff budget,
Okay.
Mike and Randy comes out of the detention center
Okay.
budget. And
That's
that's just where they've been slotted in their, that's where they've been assigned in their payroll, since day one. But this number that I've asked for does take them into consideration, and it includes 0% pay raise.
But now they were able to get some raises when everybody else did, right? I mean, you're not just going without a raise.
Well, yeah, and we've actually hit, and I'll tell you, and it's unfortunate for Randy, but we've actually hit, until a whole host of things, we don't want to have compression issues at any point down through the line, but we've actually hit a point where Randy's salary is capped until mine was to change. And then below Randy, I think Adam or Carol. Adam. I think Adams has been capped.
Carol and Mike.
But that didn't occur until the current year that we're in. But they have received increases. Everything else except for one line item, and I'd like to talk about it,
I hope it's peace officers and unity benefits.
Yes, it is. Everything else is basically, I mean, you can look down through there, it's basically the same. I'm basically asking for everything in the upcoming year to be identical to this year we're in, except for fixing the salaries, and you can see that that's a problem, fixing the salary line, and the POAB, Peace Officers and Units and Benefit Fund. We started in 2014. That's are y'all familiar with what that is, or do I need to? Okay, I'll explain, because I want everybody to be familiar with what that is. Peace Officers Annuity and Benefit Fund, or POAB, is it's a retirement for certified law enforcement officers, state, county, and city officers. They have to be a certified police officer. It currently allows any certified officer in the state of Georgia to be a member, as long as they are employed. We're working to try to get detention officers included in that, but currently the detention officers, unless they are a certified peace officer, are not allowed to join, although corrections officers are. That's a legislative issue we're trying to work on. How it works is this. You have to pay into the fund 15 years, I believe.
Yes, vesting is 15.
Yeah, you have to pay into the fund 15 years to be able to draw anything. It's $20 a month. I think it's 20 or maybe it's $40 to join, and it's $20 a month, and you pay $20 a month. And at the end of whenever you retire, at 55, you have to be 55 or retire from law enforcement. I think the number is somewhere in the area currently. There's what's called a multiplier, and the multiplier is currently around $24.50. Maybe it's just $24. $24 per year of service. And when you retire, you draw a monthly check of your number of years that you paid into the fund times 24. That's the current multiplier. So just say you maxed out at 30 years, and 30 years is the max. That's right. 30 years is the max. You could draw $720 a month. Not a lot of money. We're also working with the legislature to get the multiplier increased. And they voted last year to do an actuary study, and then it'll be revisited this year. And it does look like they're going to be able to get, that doesn't affect any of this. It doesn't affect how much of, So in 2014, the county doesn't have it has the 401k, but we don't have like the county retirement that I talked to you about, like the ACCG. We started paying this for all of our officers. It's a great thing to attract and keep. Now, it's not anything much. It's a lot like a municipal retirement. It's a supplemental retirement. We started paying this for all of our certified folks, and
by that you mean the $20 a month?
yes, that's right. Now, it has a mechanism after you have been in for 5 years, and this is the 5th year. We're starting on the 6th year. I mean, going into towards 6 years. There's a mechanism that you can buy a maximum amount of 5 years of prior service. If you were in law enforcement for at least 5 years, or say it was 2 years, you can buy 2 years back, but you can buy up to 5 years of prior law enforcement service back. If you're eligible. What I am and I talked to you about this briefly, Charlie, but it's been a while. What I am wanting to do is, for the individuals in the agency that have been here 5 years, or if it's 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, prior to 2014, I would like to buy back their time prior to 2014, as it applies. Looking at it, and it's going to require some pretty, detailed deciphering some of this out, but as best I can tell by going down our employee roster, it's looking like it will affect about 32 to 34 employees. A lot of those will be 5 years, and some of those will be 1 year, up to 5 years. I would like to buy back their prior service up here in Gilmer County. And it's only up to 5 years, and it's probably about a $175,000 to $200,000 operation. Now, obviously, I've not looked at doing this at 1 year. I'm going to try to break it up into 3 years. But there's not a problem in doing it in increments, because that 5 years or that 4 years or 3 years or whatever, that's not going away. I mean, it's there, it's not. It will not affect anything in the future. It's already been created. That list can only get smaller if someone was to leave. Or if someone is planning on possibly, say Randy's, it's a long decision process with like Randy is a prime example. And I got 2 or 3 others that fall into the same category. They have been here for a matter of time, for a length of time prior to 2014. However, we've been paying it for 5 years. They got to be here 10 more years. That 5-year buyback doesn't affect the 15-year to vest. So they got to be here for 10 more years. Randy doesn't know if he wants to be here 10 more years. Now, understanding that we buy somebody's time back, we paid their POAB for 5 years, and we're going on 6 years. Understanding that we buy 5 years back, they could quit tomorrow. Excuse me, apologize. They could quit tomorrow and go to LJPD, and we bought the 5 years back. We would certainly I don't think that'll happen. I think that's actually what we're trying to prevent. And it's also a good thing to do for our employees who have been here in this county and doing this job. But for those who might do something like that, we would develop or come up with basically a contract that if they do, they would pay back whatever money was spent on that buyback back to Gilmer County.
So it's not transportable?
It's not transportable, no. That's for the long-term folks that have been here in Gilmer County Sheriff's Office and intend to stay in Gilmer County Sheriff's Office to the point that they can retire. It's not transportable, that's right. That's what I want to do, and I understand that it's a major undertaking. If you look at the total cost being upwards of $200,000. I don't have an exact cost. I'm estimating, it's an educated estimate, but I'm estimating $175,000 to $200,000. And I can break it up into I can do the top three, the top third, second third next year, and the bottom third the year after and finish it off. There may actually be, say I included Howard Inslee, for example, a good example. I included Howard Inslee in my estimate. Well, in talking to Howard, Howard is already, he's already paid into 30 years. And you can't pay in longer than 30 years. So that's not gonna, he's gonna pull, that's gonna pull away from him. So we just saved $7,000 roughly. That's, don't hold me to that figure, but it's about $7,000. I have Randy, I have Tommy Coleman, Tommy Humphreys, who are, no, Randy's not as old as they are, but Tommy and Tommy are, I mean, they're pretty, they're getting on up. They're getting to the point that they may not want to commit to another 10 years of service to anywhere, much less here. So, the number can only go really down from what I have estimated. It won't go up. And once the initial people is bought back, it's not going to affect, because if I hire somebody today and we sign them up and they got 20 years in the POAB, or they have no years in the POAB, and they worked 20 years in Cobb County and retired and came here, it ain't gonna affect them, because they hadn't worked prior to 2014 here in Gilmer County. The bad thing is, and this is a bad thing, but it wouldn't affect them anyway, because just about everywhere, not everywhere, but just about everywhere in the world, in the state, not the world, in the state, that someone comes to hear from, they were a part of this prior to coming here. And it was either paid or they paid it. You can pay it yourself. A lot of places pay it, the county pays it. And that's why we started doing that in 2014. I wish we'd started it on day one of me taking office, but we didn't. And we went through a lot of bad years. And I know that we may not be in the best of times, but we're not in the worst of times. And in 2014, we pulled the trigger and just started doing it. But definitely the dramatic increase on the budget line item for POAB, that's what it's for.
If I understood correctly what you said, there's nobody in the department at this time that could take this, could start drawing from this for another 10 years, no matter how long they've been here.
Okay.
If you've got somebody who's been here 20 years,
Okay.
in the last 5 years, they were signed up in this plan. Even though they've been here 20 years, they've still got another 10 years to go before they can start drawing from this plan. That's the way I interpreted what you said.
How long does it take to be invested?
15 years.
15 years.
Now, okay. Okay. For the most part, the answer to your question is yes, but it's not an absolute yes. There's so many intricacies about this. For example, someone worked in Pickens County for 5 years prior to coming here. And they started paying in Pickens County when they started, 5 years. And they left Pickens and came here and immediately picked up in 2014 when we started. So they would currently have 10 years. 5 years from now, 5 years from now, they could retire.
So then it is transport. They've been
Transferable
there
to.
5 years for Pickens over here with them.
Well, wait a minute though, hold on. hold on. We wouldn't be buying their prior service back. It's only buying back Gilmer
Yeah.
County Sheriff's Office now. So answer your questions. To answer your question.
Okay, so for those that would be eligible for the buyback,
They
none,
were here prior to 2014.
which is what makes them eligible for the buyback.
That's right.
But from those who are eligible, is there anybody that would be vested sooner than another 10 years?
I don't think so.
He's trying to budget for costs.
Well, what I'm thinking is that, you're talking about doing it over 3 years. It looks to me like if we did it over 6 or 7 years, the result would be the same. Now, the problem with that, of course, is that future boards may not
Okay,
budget that.
there's two things, and I don't, that'd probably be the biggest problem, or it could be the biggest problem. That all depends. One thing that could be an issue, but it wouldn't be a major issue. I mean, they're not gonna go up like, there is, when you do the buyback, it's not just, you're not buying back, okay, there's 12 months in a year, and there's,
$20 a month is $240.
yes.
34 people.
No, don't do the 34 people. Let's look at, there's 12 months in a year, and there's, and 5 years buyback, that's 60 times 20, that's $1,200 to buy back 5 years. And it runs about $7,000. There's basically interest and penalty type and interest that you're having to pay. Same thing happened when I became sheriff. We could buy back prior service. I bought back up to 4 years, and I bought back 4 years prior service. And it was, you know, it was interest that you had to pay, big interest. But it was worth it for me to go borrow the money and pay it back, or buy it back, and that's what I did. So that could increase. It's not going to increase dramatically. It's not. So to answer your question, Charlie, or your thought process, yeah, we could do that.
There's just some caveats.
Yeah, we could do that. The only thing that would be bad is if we got 2/3 of the agency done, and then the administration changes, and we never get the other third done. That would be a bad thing. Yes.
Well, the penalties and interest must be huge, because where I was going with this is to do all 34 for 5 years is $40,800. How do you get to $175,000?
This is what it is. It's just what it is. How the POAB is funded, there are add-ons to fines, to every fine. There are add-ons to court filings, the add-on fees, POAB, and that's how it's funded solely currently. Now, the legislature is looking at, for example, the firefighters' retirement is just like this, set up just like this. But, and this is not a county issue, this is a legislative issue. They are funded, I don't know exactly how some of them, but they are funded heavily on a percentage of every homeowner's insurance policy. And I think it's like 1%, I think it's 1% of every dollar on every homeowner's insurance policy in the state goes to fund firefighters' retirement. POAB currently, the police currently is funded solely by add-ons to fines and court filings. One of the things that they are looking at, and this is, we're talking about what could happen, not what is happening. One of the things they are looking at, a mechanism for increasing the fund to work $720 a month at 30 years maximum. Okay, we want to get that for our folks, but that's not much. That's not even a house payment, barely a car payment. We're trying to get it increased. The things that they are looking at is a 0.5%. What has been proposed, of course, it's being fought heavily by the insurance industry. A 0.5% on every auto insurance policy, because law enforcement's working all the traffic acts. Firefighters are fighting house fires, law enforcement's working the traffic acts. And so a 0.5% on an auto insurance, that's one of the things that they're looking at. Instead of increasing the tack-ons to the fines, because we've already hit a problem with fines because of all the indigent issues that the state as well as the Supreme Court, you know about this. I know you've heard from Judge Weaver. The drug courts have even suffered because you can't make someone pay a fine anymore. You send them to court, and you know you're going to give them probation, and you're not going to send them to prison because there's no room in state prisons. So we're going to put them on probation. Well, okay, dang it, you're indigent. Or you don't make $50,000 a year, so you can't afford to pay your fines or pay your probation supervision fee. We're just not going to make you pay it. That's, you know, so there's not a lot of deterrence today in committing crimes, punishment-wise.
But even if,
Suffering the same reason.
and even if they get the 0.5%, though, that's not gonna change anything here, in terms of the buyback for these folks.
Well, I mean, it could go up. No, wait a minute, what?
Even if they get the 0.5% on the,
No,
on the
no.
auto policies.
No.
Yeah,
It won't change what we're changing. No, it'll just make the fund more better for.
So maybe the multiplier can change.
Right, that's what it's, yes. And include detention officers
Right.
prior to being post-certified.
If the multiplier changes, or if they're bringing in the detention officers, does that have the potential to change the amount of the buyback?
No. No.
So then it seems to me the only real deterrent to this, or the real issue would be, to spreading it out further, would be the possibility that it may not get approved in future years.
So
Okay.
that would be clear.
I guess it's illegal to do that contract that they'll have to pay back.
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I think so, absolutely.
We do similar things when we train people.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, well, I'm telling you, and we actually go a step further than that on the training. We do a very, very simple but similar contract or agreement. It's not, well, contract agreement, whatever you want to call it, for K-9 handlers. We're going to increase your pay by a certain percentage to incorporate all the stuff that goes with keeping up a K-9.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta keep it bathed and clean and all this stuff. Take feed, you gotta feed. So we pay people extra while they have K-9, but we change K-9 handlers about as much as I've changed clothes, or about as often in the past we have. So we make them sign an agreement that, okay, while you're a K-9 handler, you'll receive this pay instead of this pay, but you know that if you give the dog up or we take the dog from you, if we end you being a K-9 handler or you end it, you revert back to your original pay. We've not had any issues with that. But the best example is the training contracts that we have folks sign.
And what we typically do on that is we'll say, yeah, we'll send you to the training classes, and we'll get you trained, we'll get you certified, whatever. And you will agree to work for us for a minimum, some certain minimum. And if you leave before then, you'll pay us back for the training. And that seems to work out okay.
The only problem with that is that, I think by the law, is it 2 years? Or is that 2 years? 2 years? 2 years. If you look at my number, the folks that have left on their own, not on our choosing, on their choosing, who have, it's like 2 years and a month, 2 years and 3 months.
Yeah.
So, but you can't make them sign a contract for life, and you just do the best you can do.
Okay. All right, well, let's see. All the questions I have for the sheriffs. You okay to move it to detention? Okay. Detention center. I do have a question about the salary and wages there too, because that's quite a jump. Is that what you were talking about? You had two of them over in the detention center?
Randy and
Mike.
Mike Goff.
Okay.
Same scenario. There's 0% increase for employee salaries. It's just fixing the line.
Okay. Jail fund expenditures. How did we go from 0 budgeted last year to 20,000 this year?
Well, that number is based on, I can budget a number for that line, or I don't have to. That number is based on what is received in jail fund. That's another one of those things that's added on to the court fees and that kind of thing. That money goes into the jail fund.
But that revenue side of it's not in though, right? To here?
Right, it's not in the detention center, it is in that non-departmentalized. We do show jail fund
Okay,
revenue
so-
on the
So
non-departmentalized
we got
side.
revenue and non-departmentalized. Okay, so
So-
we should have it budgeted.
Right, if we're gonna budget 20,000 in revenue on the jail fund, then as a rule, you just budget the same amount of expenditures, and I know they've got some things coming up.
So this is nothing new, we're just actually showing it now.
Right.
Okay.
We've been collecting it and we've been spending it. It's nothing new.
Okay.
But we did, I think the roof was a big thing. We bought the roof and,
The jail fund's seen a little more activity in the last couple of years.
Yeah, we've got, we use it for jail repairs.
Okay.
So we had some expenditures come up that were pretty expensive.
Speaking of jail repairs, and this has nothing to do with anything budget-wise, how is the new sewer line working out?
it's working
Like
out.
charter?
Yes.
And
So-
that jail fund money is in a separate fund too, it's not included in general fund. The general fund bank account, there is a separate bank account just for that jail fund money.
Oh, the jail fund, yeah. I thought you meant the sewer line.
No, sorry, I just wanted
Okay.
to make that clear.
Yeah. Okay. You have anything else for the detention center? Okay. 911. Well, then I have a question of how did we budget 120,000, got 144 over the last 12 months, and we're budgeting 0 for E911 deposits on the revenue side?
Oh, because the state has redone the way those are done. We are not gonna be using that line item.
Less there.
I can't believe, now
Well-
I'm gonna dog on, I can't believe ACCG stood by and let that happen. With a good, not the current, the good governor creating his 911 authority. I'm kidding you.
I take the fifth.
No, it
I'm
was-
kidding you, but I mean,
No, I think it was the Sheriff's Association that was really pounding it.
Sheriff's Association blew a gasket over that.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. There's only about 30 sheriffs, I think, that have 911 that are over 911. So in the overall scheme of things, about 30 of us blew a gasket over this,
Then the other
but
100.
nobody else cared, you know?
So when you say the state changed it, what exactly was the change?
Well, if you'll notice on the revenue side, that $120 has basically, or $120,000 has basically been reclassified to the two lines below that, the 425,000 and the 100,000. Because the 911 fees used to come straight to us, and we would deposit those in our 911 account and, you know, like we do all the other deposits. Those payments from AT&T, Verizon, whoever, ETC, go to the state now. And then the state distributes those to the county.
For
I
now.
love it.
And the last part of what she just said, I will say for now,
Yeah,
to this point,
that's the way it starts.
that's the way it starts.
So
Okay.
we're just not gonna be using that particular line, and that amount has been basically reclassified down to those two lines below.
Okay.
The revenue's actually up a little bit, so I budgeted as such.
And we got a pretty good jump in the salary and wages there, is that?
It's, you know, we have, I think we're running full for the first, about, are we full in 911, aren't we? Yeah. And we have been, and then we've not, that's the only thing I can explain that with. There's no extra people, there's no anything extra, it's just they are full, which is a good thing. But when numbers have been cut over the years, and I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna admit a shortcoming on my part. I haven't looked at, but you get trained over the years, you get trained to not waste your time on certain things that take a lot of time. I haven't looked at, when it doesn't seem to matter, I haven't looked at everyone's individual salary, how it totals up at the end, to formulate that salary line item until this year and in several years. Because honestly, in the budgets that passed, and I'm talking about past. It didn't seem to matter what you put down. It was just, you know, well, you got that, and there's probably a reason for that, but and we're gonna give you this. Well, that's what happens when that happens for years and years and years. We haven't increased our numbers, except for, I haven't increased mine, personnel, staffing. I haven't increased numbers since the addition of Adam Smith and Mike Gobble's positions of promotion. Then they were filled and so on down the line, and it created two positions, one in each budget since 2012. Or that actually, I think, no, it was in 12. So that's how things get, but the numbers that have been included in the budget are actual numbers of the people that we are employing, so they should be correct.
And that's at the current salary?
Yes, at the current salaries. That's right.
Okay, so it's more of a correction than it is a raise.
It's a correction, that's right.
Ryan, you have anything else? Anybody have any other questions for Sarah?
We do have CapEx talk. Just, you wanna talk, I mean, we'd like to put some information out.
Yep, let's do that.
You should have a hard copy.
Where should it be? Oh,
It's
here.
right there on top of this.
Oh, okay.
That was still one of the things I was working on when I
Yeah.
when I put the book together, so.
Okay.
Worked on that Saturday.
But oh yeah, yours is a full page one. I'm kidding.
It's a half page.
The two main things from the capital expenditure request that know, they are what they are. It's pretty self-explanatory. 11 portable radios, the programming, and Randy can explain that programming issue, but less lethal equipment, we have very minimal amount of less
What
lethal.
is that?
Well, it's like beanbag rounds,
Tasers.
tasers, things like that.
Okay.
The vehicles though, you know, we talked about vehicles last year, and we fell on the sword voluntarily, last year, with looking ahead to this year that we could get back into a rotation of 10, and we hope we can do that. We still haven't received the vehicles we ordered this year.
You're kidding.
Oh, no, and that's another conversation that don't require it's not a budgetary conversation, but we just don't know about going through that.
If it helps, I have already made the decision that we will not utilize these folks in the future.
Okay, good.
So what we're talking
I'm so
about
glad to
here will
hear
be
that.
back, I'm sorry.
I said, I'm so glad to hear that, and I know Major Smith will be glad to hear it.
Well, so what we're talking about here will be back under the old process.
Okay, good.
Municipal.
The year before, or last year, I mean, I'm not gonna say it worked well, there was a lot of extra, conversations that had to be had, and, Major Smith he lost a bunch of hair last year, having to deal
Well,
with.
I'm not gonna feel sorry for him.
But,
You can't live without hair.
that's right. But this year, I mean, I think some vehicles came in, but they were painted backwards.
Oh, my
Wrong color.
Wrong color, so they had, you know, that's held us up. We're still waiting on the 2019 cars. But that's the number one issue, the 10 cars, and that getting back on that rotation, is important. Not using Enterprise is very important, but that's
God. We will
not.
not be utilizing them in the future.
If you look down to generator for the detention center and installation, that's that's $90,000 basically. That's a jail fund. That's a jail fund, so I don't know that that's got to be included. That's a jail fund purchase. We can pay for that out of the jail fund. We don't have to have CapEx money for that.
Now, the money that you're gonna pay it out of, though, is included in the, what we were talking about before.
But here's the thing. I think we probably got about that much money in there. We don't want to spend all of that money on one purchase. Because something else may happen. We got some, the showers in the jail, we've already got those scheduled to be redone, and so we can try to get rid of some mildew, mold issues that we've had since day one, or now probably day 300 of that jail being built. We hopefully have a solution for that. I'm surprised we've not got rung up on that in the past, but we've not, in some type of civil action. But we think we have a solution to that. It's supposed to be being done this year. We'll be paying for that out of the jail fund. So, we don't want to, but here's what I'm saying, here's why it's here. If we could do a lease, 3-year lease, whatever, but pay for it out of the jail fund, not CapEx expenditures, but do it so we can make 3 payments, that would be great. We can pay it in one payment, but we don't want to pay it in one payment. We're going to break it up.
Those showers are gonna be about $30,000 to get those fixed. So, like you said, we had 90 something.
Yeah, as of last week, there was like $94,000
So,
in
but
there.
30,000 of that's got to come out of that 94,000.
So where will we do this?
Municipal leasing will do leases on equipment as well as vehicles. I would just have to check in.
That's really the only explanations on the CapEx. the radio programming, that's to,
Yeah, we, the fire department did a grant for a repeated public safety frequency, for us to have, be able to talk to each other, on a scene, on a repeated frequency. So they got the grant for that, all that's been installed. And so with the number of radios that we have, in our vehicles and portables, to program that frequency in all those vehicles and portables, and to do what's called a maintenance tune-up. They hook them up and reset the frequencies and make sure they're, in tune, and, to get the maximum performance. Then it's, from Diversified Electronics, it's about $9,000.
the only other thing, okay, we have a,
I was just thinking the generator for the detention.
Oh, we were just talking about
That's the lease thing.
that, yeah, right.
the only other thing, and this is really not necessarily, this is not, I mean, it's kind of a sheriff operation, but it's also a courthouse operation. It's one of those things that we do, but we do it for everybody else. We have a quote, this is a Frank Copeland can tell you all about this, I can tell you the peripherals. We have a quote from Johnson Controls to replace the card reader system, because we were having so many problems with card readers, people getting in their doors. We can't, they're not working.
Sheriff, I hate to interrupt, but I got a call from Adam about the cars that he says we're gonna need to tell Charlie about it, so can I go ahead and take that stuff while we're in here?
And it's $15,000.
Okay, and that's not in here anywhere?
No, it's not in here because I mean, this is kind of a courthouse issue, it's not us, and we, we'll bring the news to you, but we didn't want that to be tacked onto our budget. What's been going
Have you told
on?
DJ that you'd like it on his?
Yeah, put it on DJ's budget. What's been going on for so long, the card reader's been going down the system, and then we try to program somebody's card. For instance, somebody in the tax commissioner's office gets hired and they need access to get in. We try to program them their card, and it doesn't take. Sometimes it takes. Now, we just replaced the computer system for that. I think that was about $1,500 last week. But the card reader system itself, according to everybody that has come up and talked to Frank and DJ knows a lot about this as well. It's going to have to be replaced. It's failing big time.
Let's make a note when we're allocating the,
Yeah, I'll step back in here.
line item right now for building improvements. Well, for 20, we're gonna have to add a certain amount back to that to replenish it. But let's make a note that this will be part of the expenditures from that, so that, we'll already have that in the budget. We won't have to go through the amendment with it.
I actually added, did you say 15,000?
15,782.
Make it 60.
I've actually added that as a line under the courthouse maintenance budget for us to discuss.
I'd rather have it added to that.
Continue.
Well, yeah, if you want to call it a contingency, but we have a line item for building improvements. And I'd love to see it come from that rather than from DJ's budget. And we're gonna have to add money back to that this year because the first year we didn't use any of it, but the second year, we kind of running out.
This is one of those situations, it doesn't affect me till I've got the key. I can go anywhere I want to. But we do, and we get hammered with this. And it's not even us. I mean, we make, because we're over the security of this building, we make these cards, but we can't control. This thing's just failing, it's not working. We got new employees that we can't get card readers for.
Are you gonna be able to make it till the first of the year? Do you need something now?
I can't
I
answer that
think
question.
Greg would say we needed it now.
Yeah.
Because they've been out there working on it every day. Yeah.
Fair minute.
They're having to work on this thing like
A little over 100,000.
all the time.
All right, let's don't even worry about 2020, let's just do that budget amendment to take it from there.
And that's,
That was Adam about Enterprise. He just got off the phone with them. They are going to have to reorder our cars.
How about let's tell them don't, and we'll take care of it ourselves, what do you think?
That's what I was
That'd be
gonna
great.
suggest. Cancel
That's what he
it.
wanted me to ask was about, because, I mean, now it's gonna be 6 months, and it's gonna run into 2020.
Before they have a chance to do the reorder, ask him to call back whoever he's talking with,
Okay.
tell them cancel the order, and
Okay.
whoever up there that would like to call me, you know, free to do so.
I think we are still gonna be able to get the, it was the Chargers they're reordering and Adams vehicle. So it was 4 of them.
Okay,
So I
well,
think we're still gonna be able to get the 2.
the two that we can get, we're probably obligated for.
I'll call
But the
him.
ones that they're gonna have to reorder, there's no reason in the world when we can't just say cancel them. Now, I don't know that you'll still get them in less than 6 months when we reorder them ourselves, but, we will
Well,
be
we'll
back
go
to
back
the
to,
process.
what we'll do is we'll go back to, the Tahoes we buy and the Explorers. I think we've been buying, we buy those from Unadilla, and they've got about 3 acres of them down there. And then the Dodge Chargers, we buy those from Aikens and Winder. And I don't know if they have any or not, but,
Now, the four that's having to reorder, though, those aren't Tahoes, are they? They're Chargers.
3 are Chargers and 1 is a Tahoe.
Okay.
Plus the 2020 vehicles are out now. I mean,
So-
the vehicles would already be a year old and you don't even have them yet.
Or perhaps we could get a good
Or
deal.
get
price.
a
Yeah, that's what I-
much less price.
Yeah.
Yes, buying
We'll
insurance.
start with Clint Brandon and Unadilla, and like I said, they've got
Well-
acres and acres of, that's what they do, sell police vehicles.
Ask them for a quote, if it can be are they state, pricing?
They do state
Good,
contract
okay.
pricing, yes.
Ask them for a state pricing quote, and we'll go from there, but as far as Enterprise is concerned, ask Adam and tell them, just,
As soon as we walk out of here, I'll call them.
I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
How much do we get from the Board of Education for resource officers, and how many do we have over there now?
all right, we have 6, and we have a contract that, we have a contract with them, or an agreement, I'll say agreement. And I think that was negotiated by Travis. But it's pretty good. I mean, we get $25,000 per officer, so it's $150,000, correct?
Well, now, for
Well,
this
yes.
budget year, we're showing 175.
Yeah, we got 175.
Not sure where that came from. but
Oh, wait a minute, we got 7. We have 7, I'm sorry. We got 6 schools, but we got 7 officers. We have a supervisor floater because there's always somebody out of school. We have 7 officers, that's right, 175, that's correct. And it basically it says, $25,000 per deputy or 50%, whichever is more. And so far, the $25,000 has been more. We just stick with that, so.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I have no other questions.
I'm going to give this to, you want me to do this quote for the control, give it to Sandy?
Yes.
Do you need a copy of it, or you want me to?
Well, I don't need a copy of it, but just, that may be the only copy.
Now, do we have at least 2 quotes?
I don't know. I'll have Frank come get with,
Okay.
We don't have to bid it, but we do need to have two quotes.
Okay.
You want me to make you a copy of this real quick, so you got it?
No, just hang on.
We sent
Just
Frank
don't
go
go.
for garbage.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can have,
All right, y'all
Appreciate
be
it.
safe.
All right.
We got James next.